What's good, everybody? It is Thursday, March 2nd, and this is your daily sports betting brand of record. We are called The Early Edge, and we are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all sports betting, and it's not close. We've got a big-time show today. Our apologies, starting a little bit late. We have some scheduling issues, some tech issues, so stay with us. But before we get to anything, you know we're the most transparent show in all of sports betting. Yesterday was not our best day after a good day, but EC, if you're leaning into somebody right now, if he doesn't play parlays, he's amazing. He went 3-0 yesterday, and there you see too many X's for us, but it's a bounce-back Thursday. The API starting right now, all of the stars. And right now, who's in the lead? How about Harris English and Cam Young tied at -3? Now, we're in March. It's all about March Madness, but we want to know if you think you're good enough to beat the very best. We want you to participate. That's right. In March Madness, the Bracket Challenge, it's free. It's for tournament glory, legacy. You can take on all of us in the Early Edge universe. I've already got mine ready to go. Download that QR code or go to tinyurl.com/earlyedgebracket to lock in your spot right now. Now, a little programming issues today. Make sure you turn on your notifications. Here's what we're doing. We got the morning show right now. Then Early Edge in 5 is moving just for one day today to 3 p.m. Eastern time. Then at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, UFC 285 live preview. We've got a brand new capper starting today. The voice of the PFL, Sean O'Connell, will be on that show with our new man, Danny Brascos. Then at 5 p.m. Eastern time, the World Baseball Classic preview. Another new capper starting there, AMAGs. You want to tune in for all of it, but it's a busy, busy day at the brand. So let's bring in the stars of the show. You know them. You love them, and they're here every day. We're changing how we do things here in the Early Edge universe. Look at this. First and foremost, live from Nashville, Tennessee, the penthouse level. M Squared. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Coach. Good morning, Sia. Good morning, everybody out there fired up. As you know, I've said this is one of my favorite golf tournaments. Love the leaderboard already. Since you mentioned it earlier, like a minute and a half ago, Jordan Spieth, Will Zalatoris also in T1 to start.
Boom. Spieth has made some amazing shots already this morning. If you don't have ESPN Plus, I encourage you to get it. You can watch all of them. And speaking of ESPN Plus, I will be calling the Players' Championship next week on ESPN Plus PGA Tour Live. So I encourage you to tune in for that. Now, this man is all over also, just like Mikey. He loves golf. He's great on the early wedge. He is the counselor of cash. Sia Nejad. Good morning, sir.
Will Zalatoris, Cameron Young, you say? Well, this gentleman right here is going for 3 first-round leaders in a row, and 2 of the 5 that I gave out are, in fact, Will Zalatoris and Cameron Young. Now, it's really early, but it's nice to be a part of the party. Let's try to get 3 in a row for the API.
And one of the big storylines you had on the early wedge was about the wind, and right now they're starting to talk about the wind starting to get up. That's why we played morning guys for first-round leaders and not afternoon. So it's playing out just like you said it was going to do. All right. Oh, we've got a lot to get to. It's all about golf. It's all about college basketball. It's all about the NBA, and I could not be Buckets, what are you doing?
Coach, I am upset today. Feyenoord let us down yesterday, and it was their first time playing Utrecht since 2017 that a game total went under 1.5 goals. I am back for revenge.
Tap the Steppa says, what the? Jay says, laughing. What are you doing? Now this is funny? You interrupt my flow, and now you're laughing? Is this a joke to you, Buckets? This is our careers we're talking about. This is our livelihoods. And you want to joke around all the time? I'm actually kind of here for it. All right, let's get into it. Marquee matchups today. It's kind of a new segment that we're doing here at the show where we kind of break down the biggest games in different sports. It's not necessarily leading to a pick, but we want you to have the knowledge because you know I always say it, knowledge is power. Buckets, you hang tight. Are you going to stay for the whole show? Yes?
I'll do the whole show. Yeah.
All right, very good, very good. All right, game number 1, we're going to the association. Last night, the Sixers. Oh, you want to show up in Miami? You want to blow them out, ruin my play? Okay, but now they have to travel back-to-back. They're going to Dallas to take on the Mavericks, the fighting Luka Doncic's, the Kyrie Irvings. So, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Sia, let's start with you. How are you attacking this game? Because the Sixers have proven 4 nights ago, lay an egg. Last night, they win by a bunch. What do we make of this game tonight?
Yeah, win by a bunch without their superstar. Of course, I'm talking about number 37 for the Philadelphia 76ers, but he's not number 37. He's really number 1 in your hearts. It's Mike McClure that I'm talking about, obviously. He did not play last night. No, of course, it was Joel Embiid that didn't play, and they still blew out the Miami Heat. Really impressive, but it's a tough spot for them, right? Because now they have to travel to Dallas back-to-back nights. Dallas didn't play yesterday. They played 2 nights ago. Dallas losers of 5 of 6, 4 of 5 with Kyrie Irving. Listen, this experiment may not work out. It looks like it's not going to work out. That's kind of what I thought going into the trade. But with that said, it's a nice spot for the Mavericks. I actually expect them to cover the 4, and I don't mind them in money line parlays.
Okay. Mikey, what say you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is whether or not Joel Embiid plays. Based on the line here, I think that he's definitely highly questionable once again. We saw a lot of market movement yesterday. We saw the game was basically hedged and then moved all the way once he was officially ruled out. I think it's the same thing here in this particular spot. If he was 100% in, this game would be a pick'em, or the Sixers would still be favored, in my opinion here. Look, very, very similar teams in terms of offensive rating, not so similar in defense. Philly's very good defensively. Dallas not. They're basically middle of the pack at best in terms of defensive rating here. They do get Christian Wood back in the lineup tonight. That's going to help them, on that second unit a little bit more as they continue to try and stagger Luka and Kyrie for those little stretches. The issue is Luka shouldn't be off the floor, really, so you don't really need to be getting into staggering. As far as the game goes, though, I'm not touching the spread on it. When you have a player like Embiid, questionable, second night of a back-to-back, I think it really impacts the way that they play. They played really well last night. It was a matchup that suited them really well. They were a much better team without Joel Embiid in that particular matchup. Not necessarily the case here based on the pace of play and the overall matchup that they have, but expect a slow defensive battle in this one. If I had to play anything, it would definitely be the under in this game as I make the number 224. It's at 228, 227 and a half. I expect it to probably close around 225.
2 great takes right there. And by the way, Dallas, they have no room for error. The bunched teams from 6 to 11 are all within 1 or 2 games of each other. And they do not want to be in a play-in tournament. They do not. So these games are important. Gentlemen, hang tight. Now, you're getting a lot of different reactions from the chat, Buckets. Taylor says, I like how Buckets got the lighting right. Ha, ha, ha. It does look like you put a lot of time into your interruption this morning. But then CID says, no wonder you don't ever get any dates. Hey, hold on a second. If anybody's going to make any dating jokes about Buckets, it's going to be me. All right, I apologize for that, Buckets. But there's a reason you don't get very many dates. All right, now, today, there's a big one. Yesterday on Twitter, you and I both got a tweet from a gentleman saying, hey, I can't wait for the over 2.5 today on Real Madrid and Barcelona. And then you very quietly said, hey, I'm on that play too. Tomorrow. He had the game on the wrong day. It happens. What are we looking at today in this particular matchup?
It happens. And he was so excited too, because he tweeted at me 3 or 4 times asking me my thoughts on that game's day that is, in fact, this afternoon. Listen, this is El Clasico. This is football heritage at its finest. 2 of the biggest clubs in the world that even if you don't watch soccer, you've heard of Real Madrid and you've heard of Barcelona. Anytime these 2 teams play, it is an instant El Clasico, and this is their 3rd time playing each other this year. The first time they played, Real Madrid won 3-1 at home. Second time, Barcelona won 3-1 at home. And now they meet in the Copa del Rey semifinals here. And a bit of a tricky game here, because first of all, it is one of those 2-leg situations where they're going to play once at Bernabeu at Real Madrid and once at Camp Nou at Barcelona, and it's the combined total goals that matter. Usually we do tend to see a lot of goals and a lot of fireworks in these matchups, but I'm just telling you all now, be careful on this one because Barcelona are missing not 1, not 2, but all 3 of their best goal scorers. Lewandowski, Dembele, and Pedri are all going to be out and missing this game, so over half of their team's total goals have just vanished in this matchup. Real Madrid at home, coming off a big win at Liverpool and a draw in the Madrid derby. It's going to be a tricky one here, but that money line does look tasty for Real Madrid.
And that's why we do this marquee matchup. Listen to that. If you just go to CBSSports.com, you go, oh, Barcelona's a play. But you don't listen to that or you don't know that. It's so important. By the way, Jordan said yesterday in this same segment, you talked about Arsenal and how good they've been. They went out and won 4-0. See, it's not just about the pick. It's about the information. Buckets, thank you very much. Hang tight. Now, quick question from the chat. Mikey, what do you think about Arizona covering the 2.5 against USC tonight?
Let me look on my simulations on SportsLine because I have no idea where I had that game.
Cool.
I do not like Arizona to cover.
Okay. There you go. Little lean right there for you.
I have them winning by 1. Yeah.
Boom. Those models are so close. Mikey is so good with that. By the way, Burke Betts, a member of the Early Edge crew, he's in the chat live right now. Any questions, college basketball, put them in there. He'll answer them in real time. All right, let's stay in college basketball. Another marquee matchup tonight, and it's Arizona State, not Arizona, taking on UCLA. The Bruins did not lose a game the entire month of February. They're trending. They're top 5 in the country. Mikey, let's start with you. Does UCLA continue this good play?
Yeah, I think they do. I think there's no real question here on whether or not they win. This should be a very, very comfortable win for them. It is contrasting styles. However, you get contrasting styles almost every time you play UCLA because they're one of the best teams in the country defensively, and they play incredibly slow. Arizona State, they want to run a little bit more here. It's not going to work out for them as well as they would like. They're a fine team defensively. They're very respectable on the defensive end. Where they lack is offensive efficiency. They rate outside the top 100. UCLA, they should control the glass really on both ends of the floor. The total I think is mostly appropriate where it's at here. The biggest lean that I would have in this game is actually UCLA to cover the 11.5. I think this number should be closer to 13.5. It is a very, very tricky situation here though, because of the way that they play. They play so slow with limited possessions. It is more difficult sometimes against good defensive teams to go out and win games by 15 to 20 points. So if I were to play this game, I would mostly be looking for live betting entry points where I'm finding UCLA at say 6.5, 7.5. Anything under 9 is a lot better price point than the 11.5 here.
That is such great advice. This is a number that we like to say here is a yuck. You don't want to play 11.5 ever, especially for a team that plays the way that UCLA does. It's grinded out defense, and then they use their stars at the end to make big buckets. That's what they've done for years. But Sia, if they continue to do that, can we even attack the total tonight? Because it's always for UCLA games in between 130 and 134.
Yeah, if I was going to attack anything there, it probably would be the UCLA minus 11.5. I'd probably stay away from the total for a lot of the reasons that Mikey just talked about. I will say this. I think UCLA is a great team. I think that's obvious, but they're going to be my team, and we'll wait for brackets to come out. Everybody obviously is probably already signed up for the March Madness challenge that we've got going on, but I think I'm probably going to have UCLA winning it all. Again, it depends on how the bracket falls. I think they're the best team in the country, top to bottom. So it's UCLA for me in this one, but I'm not going to, it's not something I'm going to bet or play I'm going to give out. Arizona State, listen, they're coming off a really emotional win, but I think this is a letdown spot. I think UCLA ends up taking care of business.
Yeah, I like watching Arizona State just to watch Bobby Hurley coach on the sidelines. And his brother last night was very entertaining for UConn when they had a 7th grade game breakout up. What were they up 42-8 at one point? It was brutal, absolutely brutal. But we did push the over thanks to Grace. But, that was a sweat all to its own. All right, we got to get to our board for the day. And I told you it's a busy day at the brand, 4 big shows. But before we get there, I got to pay these gentlemen. So here's a word from one of our incredible partners.
March Madness is almost here. Who's in? Who's out? The answers are revealed on the March Madness Selection Show, March 12th on CBS.
Oh, can't wait for that championship week next week. We're already cooking up a bunch of extra show ideas for all of you, and we will reveal them as soon as we get to them. But, Buckets, I want to start on the pitch. I want to start with the matchup you just talked about, and I would assume, giving your take of the game, that I know where you're going, but please explain it, sir. You're up first.
You probably know right where I'm going, Coach, and it seems to be where a lot of people are leaning on this matchup. I'm sticking with a very simple play here, Real Madrid on the money line. You cannot bet on a Barcelona side that is missing Lewandowski, Dembele, and Pedri. That is the equivalent of running the show without M squared, Sia, or you, Coach. You can't take the 3 best talents of this team and act like this is still the same squad. Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, coming off their massive win at Anfield and a draw in the Madrid Derby, is a terrifying team. They have a healthy Benzema, a healthy Rodrigo, a healthy Vinny Jr., And this is a 2-leg tie here. So they need to get a goal advantage in this first leg before they have to go back to Barcelona to play in that second leg. I don't think we're going to see a ton of goals here, but I do see Real Madrid winning this one. Looking at that money line at plus 100, it's too good a value for me to pass up right now.
What about team to advance at minus 130? Because it's a Copa del Rey.
I do like that as well. And if you are new to kind of how these soccer tournaments work, to advance means that Real Madrid gets more goals combined in both of these games in both legs. So if they win 2-0 in this first match and then lose 1-0 in the second match, they still advance because they did win in that goal accumulation there. I like to advance as well for this one. I think Real Madrid take care of business.
There you go. Educate and entertain. That's what we do here at the Early Edge. Buckets, thank you very much. All right, now we have one play from SportsLine itself today. And if you're not a SportsLine member, what are you doing? All right, I'll do you a solid. Use a promo code early. They told me not to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Use a promo code early. I'll give you 30 days for free. I'll give you the entire month of March. Then after that, you're playing with house money. Get all of our simulations, all of our articles, all of my cappers that are on every single day. They're the best. And they also interact with you on social media. Other people don't do that. That's what we do here. So, Old Dominion tonight. They're laying 3.5. Our simulations have them winning by 11. That's incredible value. I know you all hate that word. ODU 16-13 against the spread this year. Texas State 11-18 against the spread. We'll take ODU. And remember, there's a few games happening this morning or like starting around noon. So pay attention to those if you want to play them. All the simulations are at SportsLine for every single game on the board. All right, Mikey. Last night, I love when I get tweets really early in a game, and I believe what was Xavier Providence. It was a slow start. Looky there, it was too high. And then all those people shut up as you sailed to the over. And I looked with 4 minutes and 20 seconds to spare because that's just simply how good your simulations are. What do we have today, sir?
We're going to do the same thing, but the level of basketball is not going to be similar in this one. We're going Coppin State, Morgan State, over 152.5. This is an absolute track meet. These teams both rate inside the top 20 in terms of pace of play. Neither team in the top 200 defensively. In fact, Coppin State, they rank 354th in defensive rating in the country, and they also struggle to stop fouling, 325th in defensive free throw rate. They're going to put people on the free throw line. It's a track meet. We stop for a breather. We put our hands on our knees while we shoot free throws. That's essentially what we've got here. This game is going to feature a ton of possessions. It's very ugly. The offensive efficiency is terrible. They're going to get there through sheer volume in this one. One of these teams will approach 90 points in this game. They should. It's an incredibly high variance atmosphere overall. Just to highlight how high variance these kind of teams are, 149 points in the first meeting between the two, where the home team was favored by 1.5. They lost the game on the court by 17 points, trailed by 25. Massive, massive variance here. We like to embrace the variance when we're playing at this kind of pace. Let's go over.
There are a ton of games today. 7:30 p.m. Eastern time for that particular game. We'll have more, of course, on Early Edge in 5 today at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Special start time there. All right, Sia, you have been dialed in. You have been locked and loaded on your golf picks lately. This afternoon, we're going to have wind, but there is an edge in one of these matchups. Tell me which one.
Yeah, and this afternoon, this pick that I'm giving out is around noon. So you have about an hour and 20 minutes to get this out. It's 11:55. That's probably when it's going to close. And it's Keith Mitchell over Taylor Montgomery. You can find this over on DraftKings. You might on other sites find some 3 balls that have Keith Mitchell and Taylor Montgomery and somebody else. You can feel free to run that by me, but really, really like this one. It's only run one round, so there is some variance here, but I've been fading Taylor Montgomery for quite some time because, frankly, he's not much of a ball striker. He's more of a putting specialist. So the sort of the rose has lost its bloom a little bit with respect to Taylor Montgomery, and we've been attacking that for quite some time now. We're going to attack it again with an absolute ball striker on an incredible hot streak. Keith Mitchell has been really good, and for the record, has really good experience at Bay Hill. Taylor Montgomery, on the other hand, has 0 experience at Bay Hill. Add to that, Taylor Montgomery's coming off 2 missed cuts. Keith Mitchell's coming off 4 made cuts, 2 of which have been top 5s. Really like how Keith Mitchell is playing. This seems like an easy one for me. The minus 130 is completely justified. Probably should be minus 150 over Taylor Montgomery.
And in perfect timing, Jairi says, Take Montgomery, Buckets. Take Montgomery.
He's
Coach,
gone down the Montgomery road before. It hasn't worked out.
I had people all yesterday tweeting at me saying, you were on a show with Sia and you didn't take a showdown? Are you okay? People just egging me on. I got to be
Don't
careful
do it.
here.
You're going to be on 4 or 5 days a week moving forward. That's going to be an expensive job. I went to work and lost $500. Who does that? All right. Bart says, Coach, first time catching the show live so from one fan to another. How about them Chiefs? If you guys didn't heard, they won the Super Bowl for the second time in 4 years. Me and Mikey are very, very happy. All right. I love doing this with you guys so much every day. This is what our weekdays are going to look like, and I love it. All right, grab your paper, grab your pencil. Here is the recap, courtesy of the Snake on the ones and the twos. Sia Nejad, Keith Mitchell over Taylor Montgomery. It starts in the next 2 hours, so get that in right now. Coppin State, Morgan State over 152.5. One of many games tonight in college basketball. Be very careful. Really pick and choose, all right? Buckets. This game's at 3 p.m. Eastern time today. Real Madrid, money line plus 100. That's the same time that early edge in 5 begins. So watch that on one screen and watch us on the other. Then one play from SportsLine itself. We're going to go ODU minus 3.5, and we absolutely love that play. One last thing. Joe says, I'm here to hear Coach say something about live. You could say I live for it. You know I never say anything about live golf. Do I, guys? Do I ever say anything about live golf?
I don't think
No.
so.
Today we're only talking about leagues that compete. So we can't talk about them because it's not a competition. It's an exhibition. Every day. Every week. There's only one thing left to do. Damn it, I love this so much. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, love them all. Buckets, M squared. My man, the counselor, and the Snake always doing the work on the back end. Now, remember, all day, just turn on your notifications. We've got 3 more big shows to get you ready for UFC 285, the return of John Jones. For the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, all the stars are playing. Then, of course, best bets on early edge and 5 at 3 p.m. Eastern time. I am the coach. This is what we do. We grind for you so we can win with you at the early edge. Good luck.